Well, hello and good evening. Very dark and stormy night here on Butte. This is the IF project, the 1967 BSA A65 Lightning, named after the famous Lindsay Anderson film If, which is a crazy film, but I love it. And there's, of course, there's the famous scene with Malcolm McDowell. I've been having side panel issues. This bike's coming along beautifully. Right side panel fit on perfectly. The left side panel won't. And I remember when I got the bike that they were two different colours. The right side one I think matched the tank, and the left side one was, I don't know, it was painted blue or something like that. So I think it was a spare that was bought in. And it doesn't fit. Well, yeah, it does fit, but it doesn't fit. Let me explain. It won't go on properly. And I got the Audi clips, and the rear Audi clip on the left side panel, so it's this one here, this is the left side panel, is longer than the rest. There's three short ones and one long one. Heaven only knows why BSA did it that way. It's, I don't know, lunacy. I think probably like with the coils, somebody probably thought, oh, hang on a second, how do we get that to fit? I'm sure there's somebody out there who knows all about these and tell me that I'm being a dumbass, which I probably am, but it wouldn't fit, and I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. I paused the camera last time I was doing this. So, first of all, I'm going to show I had to do a cutout there because the battery bracket, the lower battery bracket, was preventing the side panel from seating properly. And then the actual Audi clip mounting, as you can see, I've modified it. I've put an extension on it because it was way like I needed an Audi stud that was about 3 inches long for it to fit. So now it's lining up beautifully now. So you can see it in there. So I've done an extension. The light in here is terrible, so I don't know if you can see it, but basically I screwed the Audi clip to the back of a metal bracket that I just cut out of an old piece of flat bar. And extended it so it's like an outrigger, and now it lines up, and they do line up. Both of them do. They're both the holes in the right spots. It's just that the rear one. Where am I here? The rear one, for some reason, as I say, it needs an Audi clip that was about 3 inches long. It was so far recessed in there. So I don't know. I guess this is the problem with restoring an old bike, is you don't know what the original parts are and what aren't. And definitely in this case, this left-hand side panel, either I'm doing something very wrong, fundamentally stupid, or it just isn't the right side panel. But it will fit now. I'm not going to fit it tonight because it's too dark, but I know it will because it lines up. And I can actually adjust this little, because it's got a bolt. I put 2 bolts through, which I've snugged up. Then another with a nut. Then another nut, which I use as a standoff, and then a locking nut on the very back. So there's 4 nuts on. 1, 2, 3 nuts. One to snug up the bolt, one as a standoff, and the other side to lock it in position. So I think that'll work. As you can see, the old bike is absolutely zooming along. Well, it's not zooming yet, but it will be very soon. Got the fuel lines all hooked up. Throttle cables are all on. See, that side panel's a peach. The tank's in the house, drying off, driving my wife nuts because of the paint fumes. She hates the paint fumes. But it's so cold and damp in here. Well, actually, it's not that damp. It's just cold, bloody cold. I thought that if it's somewhere nice and cosy and warm, it'll dry a bit more quickly. But it's coming along really well. I had to redo the tank because I made a mess with the painting when I first did it. But these have actually come up quite well, these side panels. I had a black stripe here, which I didn't like, so I got rid of it, so I repainted it. So painting's just, it's 90% patience and 10% skill, I think. Patience is a huge part of painting. And I had to sand the tank. I had a reaction actually with the tank. I got some more primer, which I thought was compatible with the Halford's paint. I don't know what I've done with the primer. Oh, there it is. It was the high coat, which I thought was the same stuff. But it isn't. So when I painted this onto the silver that was on the tank, it all went crinkly. So I had to sand it all down again and re-primer it. I used the same primer actually. But the Halford paint goes on top of that primer. It's just that primer won't go on top of the Halford paint, so I'm guessing there's a clash there somewhere. I don't know enough about the science of paint. Nowhere near enough. Well, I always assumed there was just oil-based and acrylic paint, but obviously there's a lot more to it than that. So I think maybe one of these is water-based. Maybe maybe the Halford is water-based. I don't know. I'm talking off the top of my head. I haven't got a clue what I'm talking about. But anyway, the tank looks good now. I've got to finish the red because I've put the silver on the sides, and then I've got to rub it down. I've got to put the pinstripe on. I've got this stuff here. This is just the masking tape. So I'm going to leave a strip of silver inboard of the silver panel with, I guess, what you'd call a strip of maroon, or whatever this paint is, Nightfire Red, that's off a rover actually. So yeah, that way it looks like I've got a nice Nightfire Red tank with a silver strip, pinstripe. I'll show you when I do it, and this probably sounds like gobbledygook. So yeah, I've just got to do that, and then I sand it, put that on, and then I'm going to clear coat it, and that should be the end of it, and then that's the time to fire this sucker up. Wiring's all working. I've got an oil light there, as you can see. I've got lights. This indicator light for the main beam doesn't work, and it's not the wiring, it's the stupid little LED. This rear light works. I had a problem with the stop light switch, where it wasn't turning on the stop light, but actually now it's working perfectly. I think it's just old contacts that just need horn. Horn works. Batteries in there. I made this little bracket go on top. It's it's not very pretty, but it does the job. I don't know what happened to the original bracket. And I just held it in with a couple of pieces of rubber, so it's actually in there. It's in there really tight. Actually, it's amazing. There's spark. There's a good healthy spark. On the Boyer, it doesn't matter if you. It doesn't matter which round the plugs go on, because it's a wasted spark system. So both cylinders fire every revolution, whereas on this system, the spark only fires once every other revolution. So you've got to make sure you're getting the right way around. So I had compression on this side and a spark. So I know I've got these on the right way around, and then just put some fuel in it next, and then that's the time to fire it all up. And it's quite exciting. Very exciting actually. Let's turn this battery off. The oil light hasn't gone out yet. I need to spin the engine. On my last A65, I primed the pump by spinning it with the worm drive off via the tack drive. So it is primed. But then what I usually do is I usually get a nut on the end of the crank, and I put a big driller in Canada and a socket drive, so I can spin the motor with the plugs out, make sure everything's primed up, oil pressures. But I can't do it here because A, I haven't got the socket drive, and B, I haven't got a socket big enough to go in there. So, but I'm pretty sure it'll build up oil pressure almost within half a second of starting. So, and if not, then we've got problems. So yeah, there's the good old oil tank mounting nut. I have no idea what that's from, but that's all I could find. It's a 3/8 nut, and I had to cut slots in the side so it would slide onto the mounting there. So hopefully that'll work. So yes, very exciting time. So the next time you see this video, this 1984, no, this 1967 BSA Lightning that hasn't been run, as far as I know, since 1984, is going to be alive for the first time in 40 years. That's quite something actually. That's quite something. Of course it's 40 years. I'm not firing all cylinders this evening. Okay, have a good evening and thanks for watching.